Hello, everyone. Welcome to our 6th session. Today, we're talking about stress awareness and management. Just a reminder, my name is Hannah, and later we'll have Kelly come in, just keeping it out there. Okay, so a couple of things to talk about today. We're talking about stress and what are the signs of stress, and this can look different for anybody. The symptoms of stress, how we manage stress, and then how to prevent it. So before we get started, it's important to note that stress is part of being a human. We all experience stress in some way, shape, or form, and it's normal. And we're going to talk about there's good types of stress and there's bad types of stress, but it's a part of our everyday lives. Okay, so here's something I'm gonna send out to y'all. It'll be available in the newsletter. This is an assessment called the Perceived Stress Scale. And if you'd like to fill it out, it pretty much just lets you evaluate what's going on with you and what your stress levels are in the moment. And see if you have low level of stress, moderate, or high, and how you perceive stress right now. Okay, here is a topic called the zones of emotional regulation. This is something that we use for kids and adults, for everybody. It's really helpful just to match colors to emotions and how we're feeling. So for the blue stage or the blue zone, we might be feeling sad, sick, tired, or even bored. So if you are feeling those emotions and you identify yourself in the blue zone, we then have the green zone. This is where we're feeling happy and focused. We're calm, cool, collected. This is our just right zone. And this is what we want to aim for, even though we're human and we can have the full range of colors. Next, we have yellow. This is where you're probably feeling worried or anxious, maybe a little confused or embarrassed at something that's happening to you. And then last, we have the red zone. This is where we're feeling angry. We're really upset about what's going on, and we really can't control ourselves because we're at that limit. So here are just the different range of colors and different emotions that go with it. And we'll be using this as a guide throughout the PowerPoint. This is something very similar to the zones of emotional regulation, just to put it in perspective of colors. So again, when we're in that green zone, we're feeling calm, we're feeling grounded, we're good. We can focus on what's ahead of us. When stress starts to take a toll on us, we start to experience some of that worry and anxiety and increase in our fight and flight systems. So that's where we're starting to get a little more anxious, right? And then if we can't control it, we start to go into the red zone where our body might actually shut down and freeze because we just have so much stress and you just can't do anything because you can't control anything. So those are, again, just a different perspective on how the colors play a role in our emotions. So again, I already said this, but life is stressful and we all experience stress. This is a very normal reaction that we experience, and there's a number of factors that can trigger our stress. You may feel stressed about work, maybe finances, medical concerns, maybe there's a traumatic loss or event in your life that's taking place. Maybe you're moving. These are all very stressful things that we go through with life. With stress, this can impact our body physically, mentally, emotionally. It can really take a toll if we don't have the appropriate coping strategies to help manage our stress. With that being said, stress can be acute or chronic. Acute meaning this is something that's happening very short term, like you're in a traffic jam and you're experiencing Houston on I-45 at 5 p.m. and that's stressful, don't get me wrong, but that's acute and that can go away once the problem is resolved and you're at home. Chronic, so this is something like your environment is changing. If you are moving or if you're having a bad relationship with maybe a spouse or something's happening with a neighbor or friend, that can last long term and take a toll on you. And then also work stress. Some other different types of stress, we have performance-based. So this can be academic or professional work stress. For example, if you have too many assignments or if you have a disagreement with a supervisor or a coworker, that can take a toll on you. Then we have interpersonal stress. This is our interactions with others. So if you're having an argument with a loved one, a neighbor, that's another version of stress. Or if you're even feeling lonely, that can be stressful too. Intrapersonal, this is within ourselves. So our body and mind, maybe we're experiencing some poor mental health issues, maybe poor body image, as well as financial struggles. And then lastly, we have environmental. So this is a change or just conflict with our surroundings. Moving to a new area is stressful because we feel comfortable where we're at. And if we go outside that comfort zone, then that can be stressful. And also changing jobs. Okay, so here are two different words we kind of use interchangeably a lot of the times. We have stress and we have anxiety. And here's the difference. So stress is a physical or mental response to an external situation, what's going on around us. Stress typically goes away once the issue is resolved. And with that being said, stress can be positive or negative, and we'll kind of break that down later. An example of stress is taking a test. This can be good or bad. It can help you focus, but it can also cause you to not focus just based on how you handle that stress. Also going to a soccer game, getting amped up, or maybe you lost the game and you're also stressed about that. Anxiety, however, this is our body's reaction to that stress. And this can even occur if there is no threat. If you just kind of feel like something's bothering you and you don't know what it is yet, that can be a symptom of anxiety. It's typically internal and it takes a toll on us long-term for the most part. And it's just this persistent feeling of dread or apprehension. So those are the differences. So stress is kind of a short-term thing that can be fixed. Anxiety is something that lasts for a longer period of time usually. Okay, next, there is this idea called the amygdala hijack. All right, so our amygdala, we're going to talk about that a little bit more in a second. This is located at the base of our brain, and this is going to contribute to our fight or flight response, as well as contribute to our behavioral response and our emotions. We have our prefrontal cortex or our frontal lobe. This is our executive function, decision-making, planning, portion of our brain. So there's the two aspects here about that get involved into the amygdala hijack. Our amygdala, as I mentioned earlier, located near the base of the brain. It's part of our limbic system. So it's responsible for our emotions and our behaviors. And what happens is that when we sense danger or we're stressed out, we have that fight or flight response activated, and our amygdala plays a role in that. So what then happens is that we start to pump stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline into our body to help prepare to fight or flight. And this is typically triggered by stress, fear, or anxiety, or something around us is causing us to feel this way. Whereas our frontal lobe, this helps to regulate our voluntary response. This is our reasoning and our thinking, and helps to form rational thoughts. And what the frontal lobe is going to do, it's going to evaluate the emotions and helps to judge the situation before responding. So with all of that being said, the amygdala hijack, what happens here is that when our body senses stress, our amygdala, our behavioral and emotional part of our brain, typically responds first. And it wants to take over how we respond to a situation, which may be irrational. And so we have to then let our frontal lobe kind of override the amygdala and say, hey, settle down. Here's the actual situation, how we can respond. So that's typically what happens. Our amygdala might send us into that red zone we talked about earlier. And our frontal lobe is going to help us evaluate the situation, maybe use some coping skills to bring us to the green zone where we can actually respond in a reasonable manner. Yes, and more about the amygdala hijack. So again, this can lead to our body becoming stressed, which will prepare for fight or flight. And with that being said, we'll have an increased blood flow to our muscles, will help to expand our airways to increase oxygen flow, dilate our pupils, increase our blood sugar to help provide energy to our body. And this may look like sweaty palms, goosebumps, or rapid heartbeat. So that's our body getting pumped up for what we need to do in the environment and help to avoid all that stress or fight it, who knows. Some signs of stress, again, this is different per person. We all experience stress differently, and we can experience this physically or emotionally. Some physical symptoms of stress may look like some aches and pains in our body. Maybe you have chest pain, an upset stomach, headaches, dizziness, high blood pressure can happen over time too, which is concerning. Maybe some jaw clenching, some muscle tension, low energy, insomnia. And as far as emotional symptoms of stress, this can look like anxiety, depression, maybe panic attacks. And what we find is that when a person is experiencing long-term or that chronic stress, this can lead to just continued activation of our stress hormones, which wears and tears on our body over time. And here's just a graph showing us that what can happen to our body with stress. It can affect our ability to concentrate on what's most important. It can affect our cardiovascular systems and actually lead to higher cholesterol, high blood pressure. This can also affect our immune system and decrease our overall immune defenses. It can lead to hair loss. I mean, who knows? It can really impact each person in their own way. So it's important that we use our coping skills to help us avoid stress, especially long-term stress. Okay, with that being said, there is good versus bad stress. So some good stress or eustress, in small doses, this actually may be helpful for us and have its advantages. It can provide some bursts of energy for us and help us meet our daily goals, maybe keep us focused on the task ahead, like taking a test, getting ready for the soccer game, just that focus that we need to have. That's in small doses though. Bad stress or distress, this can actually impact our occupational performance on a daily basis. And what this looks like, this can affect us mentally and physically, as I mentioned earlier, if we're continuing to have that negative stress in our daily lives. Okay, so we talked about stress, we talked about how it can look in our bodies and how it can impact us. Now we're going to start breaking it down into some stress relief strategies and how we can respond to that stress by implementing some healthy coping strategies into our daily routine. So there are two different big types of coping skills we talk about. One is problem-focused coping skills. This is going to help us resolve the issue that's causing stress. So what's causing stress in your life and how can we fix that? If it is something going on with another individual, maybe we can look at practicing communication skills and conflict management. So getting to the root of the problem. If this is something like you experienced a loss of a loved one, that's another type of stress. And to combat this, we need to use our emotion-focused coping skills, like seeking comfort from loved ones or support from loved ones, practicing mindfulness, which Kelly will do later with y'all, and then maybe incorporating some relaxation or breathing techniques into your daily routine just to help you get through the day. And some other examples of productive coping strategies include journaling, meditating, and exercise. As always, exercise is definitely important to help relieve stress. But again, every person kind of copes with stress in their own way. Okay, and then here are my references. And then Kelly will be joining us to talk about OT's role and some mindfulness techniques.
Alrighty, hi guys, how are we doing? So now I'm going to talk about stress management and just different ways to cope with stress, since I know that's something that we all experience at least a little bit in life. So the importance. After doing research, I found out that older adults report engaging in low levels of meaningful activity. So it's causing them to experience increased levels of stress. So it's important that we manage our reactions to stressful events to ensure optimal performance in the things that we find meaningful, and then just knowing how to manage the stress and the activities that we're engaging in to prevent that from happening. So the role that OTs have in stress management, we work on identifying stressful situations in someone's life, and we help them find meaningful, stress-free activities. So that way you can live a healthy life. We can practice mindfulness techniques and positive self-talk, which is going to help experiences and relationships for sure. And then we can also assess a client's daily routine and habits, just kind of seeing what you do on a daily basis and how that impacts you, determining what activities exactly we find stressful, and then handling our reactions to those stressful activities. And then we'll also provide stress management techniques, which we'll go over a little bit more in depth later. So more things that we do is we focus on controlling and prioritizing what's essential to create life balance in order to decrease levels of stress. And after doing research, these are just some interventions that OTs provide. And we'll go a little bit more into depth, but we'll talk about positive self-talk, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mindfulness grounding, deep breathing, and progressive muscle relaxation. So what is mindfulness? So in mindfulness, you're focusing on the present moment and you're becoming more aware of what you're sensing and what you're feeling. And this is going to really help enrich the experience and your relationships with the world around you. So you're just more present in the current moment. And being more focused in the present moment is going to lead to being more productive. Whenever we're not present in the moment, sometimes we'll daydream a lot. Sometimes we'll think about a lot of things that we don't have control over. We'll spend too much time planning, daydreaming, just having negative random thoughts too, which can be really draining. And that can lead to us wasting a lot of time instead of actually doing something about it. So we want to really focus on being mindful throughout our day-to-day activities. Life balance. So this is important as we get older because we start to retire. And as we retire, often if we don't have enough things in our life that are meaningful, then we don't know what to do anymore. And we just don't know what the point of life is anymore. So life balance is equally prioritizing the demand of a career or a retired in your personal life. So finding things that are going to make your time meaningful and balancing it with the things that you must do for your health and emotional well-being while still engaging in the activities that you do find meaningful. And this is just dependent on everyone. So everyone's life balance is going to look different. If you like to spend time with your family or friends, maybe volunteering, coming here, having some hobbies, everyone's is going to look different. But after doing research, Ekman, he reported adults experience significantly higher levels of well-being when they engage in their meaningful activities and have their basic psychological needs met. So are they eating healthy? Are they sleeping right? So here are some reasons for poor work-life balance. Children, I know we are a hassle. And let me tell you, the younger you have them, the more of a hassle they are for sure. Engaging in your home responsibilities, sometimes having too much to do. If you're still working, sometimes there's different times where it just gets very busy and hectic. And then having to work more. This all leads to having an unbalanced life. And then here are some more examples. Having a to-do list that's never ending, just constantly writing different things. Being extremely busy and where you can't fully accomplish your tasks. So you're starting all these different tasks and then you're not finishing them. You also might have high levels of stress because you're burnt out from work. You're not sleeping well and you just constantly are feeling stressed. This can lead to an unbalanced life. And then you begin to have physical symptoms. So headache, chest pain, maybe even dizziness. And then difficulty concentrating and just losing focus and direction in life, not knowing what to do anymore. This is all things that happen whenever our life isn't balanced, having too much stress in our life. So now here, I'll talk a little bit more about stress prevention and different techniques that we can do to help manage our stress. So these are unhealthy ways to manage stress. So watching endless hours of TV, withdrawing from friends or partners, so no longer engaging in conversations or having meaningful relationships anymore. Creating a lot of plans just to avoid facing problems. So you're spending all your time just doing other things instead of actually doing what you need to do. Overeating. Sometimes whenever we're stressed out, we'll just eat to eat. Undereating. You're so stressed that you're not even able to eat anymore because physically you just cannot do it. Sleeping too much. That's another way to that some people may manage stress, but it's not healthy. Drinking too much or taking drugs. Lashing out and emotionally and physically to others and having violent outbursts. These are also ways that sometimes people try to manage their stress, and these aren't healthy. And then taking prescription or over-the-counter drugs. that provides you with some kind of relief that you're seeking, but it's not the best way to manage our stress. But these are some healthy ways to manage our stress. Engaging in physical activity, coming here, working out, practicing relaxation techniques. So deep breathing, meditation, yoga, Tai Chi, or even going for a massage. Keeping a sense of humor, finding things funny, joking around, not always taking everything so seriously. Spending time with family and friends, people who are important and meaningful in your life. Setting aside time for hobbies, whether it's reading, listening, hiking, listening to music, spending time with grandchildren. And then getting enough sleep, definitely important, but not too much. And then eating a healthy and balanced diet. So, positive self-talk. This is a way that we can cope with stress. And this is a type of cognitive behavioral therapy where you learn to give yourself a positive message. So, you're reframing how you're thinking negatively to avoid cognitive distortion. So, positive affirmations, that's a way that you can learn how to positive self-talk. And so, some examples. So whenever you're speaking to someone new, a way that we can positive self-talk is saying like, oh, I'm very interesting. Maybe I'll make a new friend out of this. Trying a new problem, often that's really hard, but a way that we can use positive self-talk is saying, the more that I try, the better I'm going to get. And then whenever we have to complete difficult tasks, we can just tell ourselves like, I'm going to do a pretty good job. Like this is going to go good. Those are ways that we can positive self-talk. And this is really important because whenever we get in these negative loopholes, we just keep digging ourselves in a deeper hole and, it's hard to get out of that. So trying to maintain as positive as we can whenever we're stressed. I know it's hard, but just even a little step, that'll help a lot. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mindfulness grounding techniques. So first, you'll start by taking a couple of deep breaths. And then after that, once you feel a little bit more relaxed and in the zone, so you're going to acknowledge 5 things that you see around you. So just look around the room, spot 5 things. Then you're going to acknowledge 4 things that you can touch around you. So just anywhere in the room that you're at, you'll go and just see things that you can touch, feeling those different textures. And then 3 things that you hear outside of your body. Just listen. Is it music? Is it the air condition outside? And then you'll move on to 2 things that you can smell. So then you're just going to see what you can smell. And then lastly, you're going to acknowledge 1 thing that you can taste. What is in the inside of your mouth? Or do you have anything nearby that you can eat? So each of these different techniques, it's making you pay more attention to your senses. And whenever you are paying attention to your senses, you forget about the worries and stress of your everyday struggles. And so just being more aware of our senses, this is kind of going back to being more mindful. You just pay more attention to the things that you're touching, you're seeing, you're hearing, smelling, tasting. And then this is another way to help prevent stress or just relax ourselves if we are having a stressful day. Deep breathing. So I know that this is probably something that you've heard of, but this is really important. It helps reduce heart rate and it helps reduce blood pressure too, especially whenever we are very stressful and anxious in the moment. So what I want you to do is have your eyes open or closed and just start by taking big, deep breaths. So you're going to start by breathing in, fill up all the air in your lungs, and then you're going to breathe out. And then you can continue this for 4 or 5 times, or if you have the opportunity, you can do it for 10 to 20 minutes. But you want to make sure that when you breathe in, you count to 5. And then you breathe out. So when you breathe in, imagine that you're filling your air with a sense of peace and calmness. And whenever you breathe out, You're breathing out all your stresses and tension. So definitely pay attention to your breathing, have some calming music in the background if you want. And slow, deep, long breaths are going to help maintain a sense of calmness and help you return to a more calmer state whenever we are stressed. And lastly, I'm going to talk about progressive muscle relaxation. So if we're feeling really stressed, this is a way to tighten your muscles and then let it go. And so you're forcing your muscles to relax. It's no longer conscious, it's automatic, because whenever you tighten your muscles, you tighten them for about 10 seconds and then let them go. That's kind of providing a sense of relief. This is also a really great technique to use if we are feeling stressed. And often, if we do have a lot of tension, it starts in our upper body, head and neck. And so, if you do this technique, you can start by using, like this model shows right here, you can start at your forehead, your eyes, your mouth, your neck, your shoulders. By starting there, that's going to help provide a lot more relaxation to the top of our head. And then we can slowly make our way down to our chest, to our legs, to our feet. But you can start either at the head or the feet, just really depends where you feel more stressed and tensed at. All right, well, thank y'all for listening to us. This one was, just to kind of help provide some techniques on different stress, and we'd love to hear your feedback. So if you're able to fill out the quick survey, we would greatly appreciate that. But thank y'all so much, and I hope you'll have a good day.